Hey everybody, Tree here. I got to talk about last night's Lions game. I think very often when I say during my football story that football is my favorite sport, I think people sometimes think that's just something that I say for the purpose of the story. But it really is. Why? Because I love culture. I love team culture. I love the idea of people coordinating action to become better than the sum of the parts. That is the most fulfilling thing that I can think of. And football has the most moving parts, at least in my experience sport-wise. And so it's my favorite sport. Last night, what the Lions did, after all the adversity they have been through, to hold one of the best offenses in the league, as they did, was, as the analyst said on the broadcast, stunning. I was jaw-dropped. That is not what I expected at all. I expected a high, number shootout like everybody else. The reason that I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention today and talk about it on this video was because of something that they said earlier on the broadcast. As they were talking to Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, in preparation for the game, he said, I know that as I'm planning, whatever we do, my head coach will have my back. And I got to tell you, I was like, wow, thank you. So often when I'm talking to people about the importance of culture and the importance of being intentional about culture, I say that trust, there's 5 main components in my cultural model, but trust is the one through line. It's the one thing that touches every part of team culture. In addition to that, creating an environment that feels really psychologically safe is of utmost importance to performance. That is a living example of why. Aaron Glenn could make the plan that he did to shut down one of the best offenses in the league with fewer resources than almost anybody else in the league, because he knew that no matter what, Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, would have his back. So if you're not yet convinced that even at the very highest level where they're paying players millions of dollars, if you're still not convinced that performance can be assisted and boosted by trust and psychological safety, I'm just never going to convince you. If you're not seeing it there, that living example of brilliant leadership by Dan Campbell, and there's so much more to that. Like Sheila Hamp-Ford, the principal owner of the Lions, who's been there for the last 4 years, who kind of brought all of these changes about by bringing in Brad and Chris Spielman and Dan Campbell and all the rest. She offers that psychological safety to Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and lets them go and do their jobs in very risky ways sometimes. People talk all about how much courage he has. He can have that courage because he knows that his boss has his back. But the environment that they've created in relation to psychological safety with the Detroit Lions it's a sight. It's breathtaking. It just truly is, in the words of the analyst last night, stunning.